Hi, you guys. Oh my gosh, there's people
I wonder what I would feel like if I walked into a panel room with that playing something. Morning, everybody.
What's on your hat?
How's everyone doing? Oh, wonderful. You're wearing sunglasses in the morning.
He's drunk.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, sometimes that means something.
My glasses aren't my right prescription, so like, I think some cheap glasses.
Well, obviously. We don't even need the hashtag. It's just a given. Good morning, everybody. Woo! So, welcome to the podcasting panel. All four of us are podcasters. We each have a podcast that we're a part of.
Each one of us has one single one.
As one. No, we have kind of a mixed match up here. I guess, Paleo, if you want to start introducing your podcast that you do.
Yeah, so there's a podcast I do called POS Podcast that's live streamed to my channel like every other Monday. And I do it with Saber, our friend Hirasashi, and like we have like a sort of like revolving door of like recurring guests. We have like Tommy Oliver, our friend Jax Blade. Sometimes other people join in, like our friend Matt, or sometimes Race is on. So, yeah, we just talk about like entertainment news and movies and junk. So, yeah.
Cool. And then we also have representing up here the Semi-Perfect Podcast, which was a podcast Saber and I started. It's always amazing to me how long ago these things have started. It's like, oh wow, like 2015. It's like, it's been 84 years. But yeah, so we got that going, and now it's actually mostly ran by my fiance Toodles. But we also have like Laura joins us on that, and a whole bunch of other people. Black Griffin is a common, when we can find him, when he's not stuck in the air somewhere in his jet plane or whatever.
There was one time where he was on time, and like...
One time?
Yeah, and I was like, this isn't right.
Go away. I think he had to leave for dinner like 5 minutes into it. They were like, the potatoes are ready.
Yeah, the little ring bell from his mother.
But yeah, so we have a whole kind of cast of people. Hirasashi also joins on that, Panama Matt. And yeah, essentially what, I mean, both podcasts, yours is still bi-weekly, right?
Yeah, still bi-weekly.
Yeah, and yours bi-weekly Monday.
Yeah.
And then Semi-Perfect is a bi-weekly show on Wednesdays, and I think they're on the same week.
Well, not now, because I delayed mine after like Saber got back from BabsCon. Because like I didn't want to do it that Monday, so I delayed it. And also because like Whinny City was happening too.
There you go. Okay, so now they're offset.
Yeah, now
cool.
they're offset again.
I'm paying attention. So yeah, they're each week there's one of the podcasts. But yeah, essentially what we talk about, a lot of stuff is just a bunch of random topics. Some involving entertainment, media, just random life stories and whatever. And what we usually do for these podcast panels is just kind of a Q&A session. And this is like, whatever you guys want to ask. Obviously, family-friendly panel, but whatever you guys feel like asking, any of the individuals up here or all of us, you could just ask random questions or things about movies, things about what you think about this. Do we have any takers that want to start things off? Come on and line up in front of the mic, everybody.
Oh, we need the Q&A mic on.
No, that's just a prop.
Yeah, like you said, we also. So I used to do a podcast called Nerd Echo. It's kind of on hiatus at the moment, but part of that is asking who would win questions. So if you want to come up on stage, or not stage, but ask the microphone, be like, hey, who would win a fight, Rainbow Dash or a report card? Go for it.
The principal always wins.
Absolutely.
Mother!
So I was just going to ask that, aside from the gavel stuff, what other trouble has Saber caused at past conventions that I have not attended?
God, where do you want to start?
Talk about meeting Lord Phelps
Yeah, I mean,
in the elevator.
I was in trouble. It was just convenience.
It was silly though. It's
was
a fun
silly.
story.
I mean, I got flat out wasted at BabsCon.
Like flat out.
Yeah.
It was.
And it wasn't like on purpose. Like I'm gonna, get completely drunk to be a burden upon others. I just had way too much to drink. I'm like, oh god, 'cause I haven't had that much drink since college. It's been like almost 10 years.
It was a perfect storm of things because we were part of a panel called Toasty Writers, and it involved some of the show staff and alcohol. It was a 21 plus panel, and so alcohol was provided. The idea
For free.
for free, and so it's not like Saber was at
I'm
the
not
bar
gonna
like
be like-
another.
No.
But
Bring me another.
but what happened was we didn't realize that the panel. We thought it started when it ended, so we didn't plan accordingly for dinner. So we hadn't eaten anything since lunch. So you were basically on an empty stomach.
I guess to wrap that story up though, the highlight of it is after the panel, like it went from like coherent drunk to like, oh god, I'm starting to blur out here. And I sat down next to this table, and my head was all spotty. I was just like kind of existing, and then someone put a lemon next to me, and I'm like, and I just bit into it. And I don't know why. I was just like, there's no logic. I guess I just wanted to bite into it. And
It's on the vlog. You can see
yeah,
it.
it's actually on his vlog. Like I'm not making this up. I remember Ray's being like, did you just bite into a lemon?
What vlog is this again?
It's the BabsCon vlog, the Saturday night.
What
one.
year?
This year.
yeah.
This year? Okay.
Like 2 weeks ago. You were hungry.
I think if there's any logic, it's I wanted to feel something at that moment. It's all lemon.
I just want to be alive.
I wanted to feel something that.
I am existing. No, it was fun because I had to ask him like, is that a way that you eat lemons? Like, is that a thing that I never knew about?
I'm from Georgia. We just bite into them.
Hardcore.
The opposite of Cave Johnson.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
I have a good question. Do any of you guys actually watch the podcast? And we want to be heard if you say no. Okay, cool. Very cool.
Now, everyone who didn't raise their hand, get out.
Oh, no. Stay.
Okay, my question is, what has been your essentially favorite stories on the podcast?
Oh, favorite story on the podcast?
I know one from POS, but we can't say it here.
Why?
Well, can you give me a title of what that story could be?
Make it family friendly.
Starts with an F.
Oh, Forrest?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we can't say that.
Oh, okay. There was another, I think one of our pretty amusing podcasts also involved alcohol. It was, so when Saber gets drunk, like not like wasted, just, is it more of a buzzed effect, or is that when you're kind of like drunk? When you're just like, I love you. Because you love everything. Like, you're like paleo. Well, nah, but Race, I love you. No, and it's great because you also get like really inspirational, which also happened at BabsCon. And anyways, on the podcast we had one of those where
he was almost about to like share too much information. Like,
oh yeah,
we stopped him.
Yeah, you were gonna tell a story about. So I went to the doctor the other day, and we're like, okay, Saber, that's good.
Yeah. I went to the doctor for an ultrasound, and I was like, let me tell you about the details. First, I think about the jelly, and they're like, nope.
No, but yeah, no.
They slathered it all over my head.
There's so many. The fun thing about the podcast is that we've been doing it now for about 3 years, and at least a semi-perfect one. And there's been a lot of stories that have just been like hilarious. I forget what it was, but I remember Sarah once like messed up how she said something, and we spent the rest of the podcast just like making fun of how she said whatever it was. I wish I remembered, but yeah. And Sarah's like kind of like, I guess like the rock of the podcast. Like, she first off
The Dwayne Johnson?
Yes.
I think I have a story I could share. So this is from the podcast. I remember I was talking to my girlfriend here, because she's also on the podcast, and we were like, this is not, during the podcast, I was just reminiscing about my childhood, and I remembered, I was a very weird child, like, just did weird, stupid stuff, nothing like destructive, just weird, like, what the heck. And one of those weird things that I did is, I was a big fan of the comic Calvin and Hobbes, and
Oh, yeah.
I am like, cool, Hobbes is like a living tiger, but he's not. And I was like, I think, it's the worst part, it's like I'm way too old for doing what I was doing at the time. I was like 10. And I'm like, I want to have a Hobbes of my own. So I had this little teddy bear that was like that tall. And I would be like, let's go on adventures. So you see like this 10-year-old boy man, I guess, running around the neighborhood, you know, with his teddy bear. And one day I'm like, I want to have a picnic with my teddy bear. So I decided, because I lived in like a middle class like neighborhood, so there's a golf course nearby. What's that? Oh, just you wait. So basically I went to the golf course. I'm like, oh, there's a great vista. You know, we could sit down near the tee and have some PB&J on this little like towel that I brought from my like bathroom. It wasn't a picnic, you know, blanket.
It wasn't even like a beach towel?
It was a towel. Like,
Just a regular
like
towel.
drying yourself off. Very bare bones. So I went over there, I set up everything, like, this is great, what can go wrong? So I'm just sitting there eating a sandwich with my teddy bears kind of propped up against the tree, and I just hear these, and I hear these two golf carts stop, and I turn around, and there are just these golfers who are just standing there staring at me as I'm on my belly with a teddy bear next to me eating a sandwich on a bathing towel. And at that moment I realized, oh, this doesn't look right. I'm gathering my stuff up. I'm like, no, don't look at me! Don't look at me!
Also, to clarify, you said you didn't do anything destructive just
I don't
now.
do destructive stuff.
However,
What?
does like destroying someone's drywall in their basement not count as destructive?
Oh, okay. Then one more story. So, again, I was a weird kid, and I was one of those kids where like I didn't really care about your friendship. I just cared about your stuff. I'm just being real. I'm just being real. Like it's like my best friend had a Nintendo 64 and a Genesis, and he's my best friend. Dang it. And his stuff's awesome.
Can I borrow that?
Well, I had this one friend named Austin Madiak, and he came from a very rich family. And I say that because, like, I mean, am I alone where, like, as a kid, you're like, oh, it's Alex Gilmore, that's Austin Stovall, like, they get their full name, or was it just, okay, never mind. I think I'm name dropping pretty hard. All right, so they're pretty famous people.
Find them on Facebook.
Showing off. I want you to know this, Sega Genesis. So basically, Austin came from a very rich family. The basement had all this old school retro, like, cabinet games, like Galaga, Pac-Man, and I was like, oh my god, that's so cool. But the family hated me, especially the mom. I don't understand why. I'm a wonderful child. But I went down to visit Austin, and his mother was leaving to go to Home Depot or something like that. Or she's like, listen, you guys can't hang out inside the house. You have to hang outside in the backyard in the playground. The door's unlocked in case it's an emergency, but you can't play inside while I'm gone. And we're like, okay. I'm like, damn it, I'm gonna play games. And we're in the playground in the backyard. I'm like, Austin, I had this brilliant idea. All right, listen. Child logic extraordinaire. I'm like, Austin, listen to me. I had a dream last night that we went inside your house, we played Galaga, and we beat it. What? Austin, we made this dream come true. Let's go inside. Okay. So we go inside, and we go into the basement, and all the games are shut off, and we can't figure out how to turn it on. So I'm like, God damn it, never mind. So I'm like, what can we do instead? There's a little gym inside the house, a little like room with a treadmill and weights. And I'm like, let's go play in there. So we go to the treadmill, and I'm like, let's turn this thing on to 10, 20, 50, 100. Just go as fast as it can. And we're the dumb kids where I'm like, ha, 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 put my legs apart with a treadmill running between your legs, and I'm on the side, and I'm like, hey Austin, watch. So like it literally caught me and flung me against the wall and launched my boy corpse and then broke the drywall.
I have done that.
Isn't it the best and also the worst at the same time? Yes. I was literally out of breath. I couldn't breathe. I'm like on the verge of crying on my side.
This is what death feels like.
Yeah, I'm dying. Austin doesn't give a crap about me. He doesn't care at me at all. He runs up to the wall. And he's like, ah! like screaming at the wall. And I'm like crawling out of the house. Like, I gotta go back to my home. I get back to
left. He just left.
I get back to my house and I see my mom on the phone and she's just, what did you do, Steven? So, yeah.
Child logic is really funny because I apparently tried to convince my friends of like, I guess I still do, but I had a really wild imagination as a kid. And I would try to convince my friends that like, no, it's real. And I forgot about this, but Tommy, who I do all the low budget TV, low budget stuff with, I've known him since we were like 2 years old. And I guess at one point, probably when I was around 10, I was telling him, I'm like, hey Tommy, did you know that I have go-karts? And he's like, oh yeah? I'm like, yeah. And they could go all the way to Mexico and back. And he was like, yeah? And I don't know why, like apparently like that was my like designator of like, now you're impressed. They can go to Mexico and back. Like, it's just, I always love hearing stories about that where you're like, as a kid, you're like, no, let me tell you what's cool, all right?
I stole a car when I was a kid.
Yeah?
Yeah.
True story.
This is true. So, again, I was a, like...
Sweet child.
A very good boy.
Yeah.
There was a little electronic car, a little Barbie car for, like, kids. And I was of the tender age of 17 years of under. I think I was like 9 or something like that. I remember seeing my neighbor in the cul-de-sac, and they had a little car for their daughter, and I'm like, I want that car. And one day, I decided to have a stakeout, and they went back inside and left the car in the driveway. I'm like, I got the car. I'm like, see ya, suckers. I'm just,
Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, Grand Theft Auto.
and I'm driving the car. I'm like, yeah, it's a Jurassic Park. This is so cool. And I kept driving around until the car just died from its battery. I just left it in the road. I'm like,
I remember doing something.
well, here's the worst part.
Oh no, you got worse?
I got ratted out by the neighbor. So I go back to my
what
house.
a terrible neighbor.
And one thing my mom does on the phone is looks at me and Steven, what did you do? And I'm like, nothing. And she's like, well, Miss Stovall said she saw you in the neighbor's pink little toy car you left in the road. I'm like, Miss Stovall is a liar. And my mom's like, no, Steven, you're done, son. You're going to be in trouble. I had to return the car.
There's some weird things you do as a kid. I like how this guy's like, I want to leave now.
You want to sit down, by the
You
way.
can sit. But, just, at least this is the last story I'll bring up for right now. But sometimes we do stuff as a kid that we're like, this makes perfect sense until the adult shows up and goes, no, seriously, what are you doing?
Child logic is so flawed.
I went to my neighbor's driveway.
Yeah.
And they had a hose there, and I guess like I wanted to see if my friend could hang out, and they had to go somewhere, and I'm like, oh, well, that's boring. Well, I guess I might as well, do something productive while I'm there. So, and this is in California, mind you. I saw their garden hose, and I'm like, I'll wash their driveway. They were gone for like 45 minutes, and I sat there the whole time, watering it down, and I'm thinking like, they're gonna be so grateful. They're gonna be like, wow, what a great guy. They might even pay me. And they got back, and they're just like, how long have you been doing this? They literally see water all the way down the cul-de-sac, like, who's flooding out? Or oh my God, what is ACRacebest doing?
I did that one last story where I wanted money from my neighbors. I'm like, hey, let me rake your yard in the summertime. And I think the neighbor just wanted. He's like, you know what? Sure, why not, you idiot? Like here, here's $5. I want to see if you can do this. He went back inside. I'm like, sucker, do the breakdown. I ran back to my house to go buy Pokemon cards or something with it. Which then my mom's like, once again, Steven, you're in trouble. There was the same neighbor though. They were like basically they were very spiritual people, and then this whole section of their house where I guess they have this little shrine where you put like trinkets and money to I guess for the whatever religious purposes. And I was visiting because their son was one of my friends. I decided to rob from the little like religious thing. I'm like, yeah! And my mom was devastated. She's like, you can't just steal from a religious thing. And
If it was not religious, it would have been okay.
Yeah. Go crazy. But here's the thing. Here's the part though. His neighbor, he was the kindest guy. He was like, oh, Steven, don't worry. Actually, give me $20. I'm like, Mom's like, no, you're not learning your lesson. Like, take it back. All right, what's your question? I'm sorry, we went on quite a tangent.
This is what happens on the podcast, by the way.
Hi.
Hi.
So, me and my stupid friend are thinking about starting a podcast. Is there anything you have to say, such as tips or anything?
Do it.
Ultimately, I just do it. Just go for it. Talk about what's fun and passionate to you, because if not, it's going to be a drag.
Yeah. Try to maybe, like, do you guys, like, have a topic that you are going to be aiming for, or do you know yet?
Oh, we're extremely stupid, so we're going to be talking about whatever we were doing through the week.
Oh, beautiful. I think it always helps with a podcast to have some sort of a theme, or you know, just something to have people just get that initial, like, hey, let's check out this podcast. It's about this. It's about being dumb and what you did during the week. But it also, I think, helps to like have like just like something that might pull in that outside audience, because I think that's usually what'll get people to check it out in the first place. Like that's your first thing is, oh, let's see if we could get people to check this out. I think it also helps. I know you do this. I know Sarah does this, but to have not just have it be a live podcast if you're doing a live podcast is also to have an easy, accessible way for people to find it if they couldn't make it to the live podcast. Because
archive it on YouTube.
Yeah, that gives people the opportunity to even look back at other episodes and go, oh no, yeah, let's check this out when it's live. So stuff like that helps.
I guess we'll just be arguing about the same thing every day.
There you go.
Perfect. Have fun. It's going to be every day podcast?
I don't know, but every time.
Every hour. We're back.
Good luck.
Best of luck.
Hello.
So kind of actually to piggyback a little bit off of what she was asking, for starting a podcast, what would you recommend for someone who has little to no budget to starting out, like network, or how would it be a good way to start it?
I mean, fortunately, most of the software required is free.
Yeah, like OBS is free.
Yeah, OBS is fantastic. You can get yourself a cheap microphone, or if you want to invest like $100 into a Blue Yeti or a Snowball, which is cheaper. YouTube for archiving it. For marketing purposes, I mean, you don't really need to spend money on marketing. Just kind of be ready with hashtags and trends whenever they strike. If you are talking about a funny story from seeing like a popular movie, being like, okay, let's talk about this, you know, our experience seeing Avengers or something like that, then, you know, be ready for that when the time comes. But besides that, I mean, typically it's pretty free. Here's the one problem. I hate iTunes. If you were trying to archive your podcast on iTunes, it's a hassle. If you go to like Podbean or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I do.
And it's so funny because you think this would be a streamlined, you know, easy thing to do with a couple of clicks, but no, it's like you have to plug this into that, and you have to put this URL into this, and you have to do it. Oh, you're doing it just right. Oh, crashing. It's dumb, but it's doable. But if anything, just upload to YouTube. That's easy enough.
Just YouTube, just like host it on YouTube versus having to go through like Podbean or another.
I know some folks want it on Podbean because like YouTube is dumb where if you want to listen to the podcast while on the go, you have to have the screen going. You can't just click out. You could in the past, but YouTube's like, let's charge them money for it. Which I'm dead serious, I did that.
Oh yeah.
But if like Podbean, you can like use that as a place to store it. It's like $100 for the year, which isn't bad if you're willing to invest. So,
yeah. They do have. I think they have a free version, but it's not like not that much space though.
Yeah, you have to limit it to where because I think SoundCloud was the same way, but then they also started to limit it. So yeah, they might have to put a little bit of money, but it's not extraordinarily expensive.
The most important thing I think would be the mics. If you have poor quality mics, it's going to be more of a strain to listen to. It's really nice when you're listening to a quality microphone on a podcast. So yeah, and also if it's a live podcast, you want to make sure that you have decent internet as well. so yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. Hello again.
So I'm just hearing all these funny stories from your childhood, and just because I'm a jerk, I
I know that Paleo's the quiet one, so I want to know what bad stuff he's done in the past.
Yeah, I was trying to think of something because
This angel next to us.
As you guys were talking about it, I was like, wow, I don't remember anything from my childhood. I'm starting to forget it.
Alzheimer's is already hitting you. You were a pretty well-behaved kid, weren't you?
Pretty much. I mean, I was very quiet.
Okay.
So.
It's the quiet ones you got to worry about. Paleo.
Yeah, I'm like literally just forgetting.
What stories about dolphins do you have for us?
The clean ones.
About dolphins? Like stories about dolphins. I mean.
Oh, the formula, the secret formula.
So when I was 8, I rode my bicycle.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah.
When did you first meet a dolphin?
Like in 2004.
What was she like?
Yeah.
What color hair did she have?
What kind of lipstick was she wearing?
It was brown hair.
Sweet. What was her name?
She doesn't remember.
Desiree.
There was a dolphin that I really liked called Gracie.
Gracie?
Yeah,
Why'd you like her?
I don't know. She was cool looking. No?
Cool, dude. I'm glad.
I told you I don't remember much.
Gracie. What was her friend's name? Will?
No.
Willie and Gracie. Yeah, right, Willie and Gracie. Dang it, that's good. You stupid.
Am I okay to ask another question real quick?
Yeah, sure.
So, I'm currently part of a podcast that took inspiration from another podcast, which at least for now I probably should not mention, but where the Brennan Maniacs discuss, and like, so what would you recommend like adding like some sort of like our own little unique spin to it, or like, or are you just okay to like do something similar to what?
I mean, do both. Work on what has proven to work, but if you can, add your own unique spin on it, because that's what makes you stand out. It's for branding purposes. So yeah, just if you're too far off the grid early on, it's like it's a chance people won't really notice. But at the same time, also I guess bold, risk and pay off. Yeah, just do what works for you. I guess ultimately.
Ultimately, the whole reason that we
Bless you.
No, I'm just kidding. Hey, we're good. The whole reason that we started the Semi-Perfect podcast was because we're like, it'd be fun to just get together every other week and talk about how dumb we are and talk about stories and whatnot. And, it also use it as an opportunity to update people on our content and what's coming or maybe what had just come out. And so that's what we kind of utilized it for was, yeah, we could use it as some information, but ultimately it was just, hey, I think this would be fun to do. So if you're having fun with it, that's what ultimately matters. Even if you don't have anybody watching, it's like, whatever, we'll get laughs out of it. But yeah, hello.
Yeah, good morning. My question is, who or what was your inspiration to start doing a podcast? A lot of people ask that do a podcast, say it's like, Joe Rogan, but who or what was your inspiration to start doing them?
I think for me, because I remember, I forget which of us was like, hey, let's do a podcast, but at some point, like for Semi-Perfect, but I think that like I was actually, if you guys know this, I was like inspired by your guys' Brony Breakdown thing that you used to do, because I'm like that was, I remember actually the first time you guys asked me to be on that, and I was like, oh my gosh, what an honor. Why are you laughing? I thought it was cool.
Should be honored.
But no, it was, I think I liked the dynamic that I saw in that podcast. And I'm like, this just seems like it would be fun to do. But then, it wasn't until down the road that it was like, let's do a podcast. So I think that's at least for me. Did anyone watch
the name was a ripoff of POS. Semi-Perfect.
Everything's a ripoff of something.
No, it was not. Liar. But yeah, so at least that was. Did anyone watch the Brony Breakdown podcast that they used to do?
Cool, dude.
Yeah.
It's old school. It's
I didn't even watch it, but they asked me to be part of it.
What's up?
One more question. What non-pony related podcast do you watch? Just curious.
I like one that's completely unrelated in any way. Hardcore History is the one I listen to. I listen to Sleepy Cabin. Are you going to say something?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm just saying I heard of that.
Hardcore History? It's really, really good. If you like history, then like check it out.
I do listen to the Pizza Party podcast, which we're actually going to be seeing them in MomoCon at the end of May.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we'll just keep talking about random stuff, but if you guys have any questions, don't be shy. Come on up to the
You know what I
mic.
realized by like the childhood stuff? I was like, man, I'm not really good at talking about things that are about myself.
Yeah?
Yeah, I guess
It's
so.
too humble. Versus Rachel, we're dumb. Like,
let's tell you everything.
The
we
other
did.
stories, I'm just thinking, like, God, I did that too. Like, I think I actually remember the first time I lied about something as a kid.
The first time?
Yes.
You remember the first time you did that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, at least as far as I could recall. And it was like, again, stupid child logic. And this might be a little bit of a PG story. But I lived in Florida at the time, and most Florida houses have these, at least in the neighborhood I was in, these really high fences that were like, almost like, 6 feet tall or whatever. And as a kid, I had a brilliant idea. I'm like, I want to poop in the backyard. I'm like, I want to do it. It only feels right. I decided to poop in the backyard. And I was all done. And my mom went outside, and she's like, okay, what did you do? And I'm like, a dog did it.
How old were you again for this?
I was like, I think like 5 or something.
Oh, okay.
And my mom, she's like, a dog did it. I'm like, yeah. A dog jumped over the fence, pooped, and jumped back over the fence.
Pretty
A dog jumped over the 6 foot tall fence. Yes. And you're sitting there as a dumb kid, like, this plan is foolproof. There's no way she can't believe me. It's so believable. It's so believable. She didn't believe me.
No, it's incredible because as a kid, you think like you have the adults outsmarted. Like you're like, they can't see through this.
Your mom sounds like she like just had enough of you.
Well, the thing is, like,
your poor mother.
I was like the innocent, stupid kid, while my sister was like the rebellious teenager. Then my little sister was just the we hated her all together. No, I'm joking. She was just kind of like the Tom girl or Tom.
Oh, now that explains things.
What?
I'm an only child.
Yeah, dude.
Yes.
You were gifted with so many toys. Why even go outside? Lucky.
Was anyone here inspired by the movie Home Alone as a kid?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I remember I had this brilliant idea. I'm like, if there's ever, again, this goes to like, as a kid, I got a perfect idea. This is something that no matter what happens, I'll be able to pull this off if I ever have somebody break into my house. And so what I did was I had this like bucket thing that was in our backyard, and I was like, I'm going to create the most deadly concoction ever. It's a good idea. And, we had a golden retriever, so there was a lot of dog poop all over the place. So I'm like putting that in there. I put some water in here. I think I grabbed...
Your mom's like, he's such a good boy. He's cleaning up the dog poop.
I grabbed like who knows what out of like the kitchen, like, a chemical thing. Perfect. And I'd be like mixing it up. And I remember
mustard gas.
I was so upset.
Give me the bleach and ammonia.
Because one day I went outside and my bucket was empty, and I'm like, guys, what the heck? And my dad's like, there were things growing in there. We dumped it out. And I'm like, I've been working on that for like 2 weeks. All right, come on. And my whole plan was, if there was ever bad guys that came into the house, I'd convince them to drink it.
Drink it?
Yeah, I'd be like, well, here, since you guys are here and I'm a good boy, you can have the drink. No, it's good. Trust me. It would have worked, but luckily we never had to go that route.
Stupid child. Stupid child.
Did I got a question for you all. So are there a lot of like moviegoers out here that like see movies like regularly? Because I know like Paleo, you see a lot of movies.
I see it like almost weekly.
How often do you see movies back there?
Like pretty much every other week. Like if I get Tuesdays off, there's free popcorn at the theater. It's like 3 miles from my house.
Free popcorn?
Nice.
Free popcorn on Tuesdays.
Cool. That's awesome. Where do you live? I'm moving.
The theater's in Birch Run, Michigan.
All right, here I come, Michigan. I heard it's warm there, so should be nice. Yeah. No.
It's warm half the year.
I was cracking up at this. How many of you? I won't spoil anything, but how many of you have seen the movie A Quiet Place? Anyone here? No? Okay, so I wasn't actually, I didn't have plans on seeing it until my parents got all excited about it. Now, I'll give you a very quick, non-spoilery, I guess, description of this movie. It essentially is, it opens up with, you know, all you know is that everyone's having to be super quiet. You don't know why, but you know they're like scared of something. And it's like a 15-minute opening scene or something where everything's like super quiet. And the problem with that, a whole ordeal of being quiet is that when you're in a movie theater full of people, everyone's like, okay, well, you know, I'll be able to go through my snacks and everything. And it was hilarious because I heard about this before going into the movie that like, oh, you know, you got to be careful when you chew on the popcorn or when you're like ruffling through stuff. And of course, my dear mother, I guess, was completely oblivious to how quiet everything was. So, you know, you see the main characters on the screen going. And then my mom's like, I gotta get a fruit snack. And everybody in the theater just hears. I'm like, how hard is it to get a fruit snack out of that thing, Mom? It was, I was laughing so hard I was crying because I'm like, my mom has no idea just how loud this is.
So she'd be dead in that actual universe.
She wouldn't have Yeah, she wouldn't have made it.
The monsters in the room just...
they reach in and grab one too. Like, no, it's just, it's funny. I figured more people had seen the movie.
Yeah, seeing that movie was great because like after that first scene, my entire theater just went silent.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And if there's a sequel, they call it A Quieter Place.
I heard I saw some jokes where people were like, all right, what's the next sensory detail they go with? Like a smelly place or something. But yeah, no, it was a place.
A blind place. It's just a black screen.
Dang it! Should have seen this coming. But yeah, no, it's movie going is always an interesting experience, especially with like a big crowd. I remember when Wonder Woman came out, and I saw a lot of people talking about how, oh, it was so awesome, everybody was cheering at this scene and just like, yeah, and everyone was into it. Well, I didn't see Wonder Woman until like 3 weeks after it came out, and there were still a lot of people seeing it at that point, but you could tell that like those like raw moviegoers had seen the movie already. And yeah. I'm pretty sure there was like one 40-year-old guy who read on the internet and saw like, oh, we're gonna cheer at that scene, yes. And the scene comes up, and I won't say what it is for anyone that hasn't seen it, but it's like, you know, a very like, yeah, go get him scene for Wonder Woman. And we're all sitting there watching, and then there's one guy in the theater that goes, and I'm like, that guy made a terrible mistake. He's like, yeah, we did it. Oh. Monster. What scene? What scene?
I forget what it was, but like
when the monsters go to kill the Nazis. That's my favorite scene.
I forget what part it was, but it was like I guess there was like something that I guess he thought everyone else would think was funny. So he's like laughing, and then like he just like slowly stops because no one else is laughing.
I forget what movie it was. I thought there was one I had recently happen, but sometimes you see a movie that's just like so not good. I remember this happened to me at the third Mummy movie. I loved the Mummy series, and then the third one came out, and I was like, where's his wife? What happened to this movie? Because they just like started changing like the actresses and some of the actors, and they just were like, oh, no one will notice. And it really bothered me, like really bothered me. And there was like this like really corny, dumb scene where someone dies in it, and it was so bad that I actually burst out laughing for the first time in my life at a scene that was supposed to be sad. And I was like, whoa, that happened. But yeah, like, yeah. Sometimes movie going for a bad movie is a whole different experience.
Oh, I love bad movies. I adore them. Yeah. There was one that my girlfriend and I recently watched called Surfer Nazis Must Die. Yeah, apparently it's pretty infamous. It was on Amazon Prime, which is like just a treasure trove of terrible films. And the Surfer Nazis Must Die is basically about a bunch of like beach gangs in like California, and one of them is like a Nazi gang, and they're like, we're gonna start the Fourth Reich. There's like 7 of them, and they're all a bunch of teenagers with like bowler caps and like plastic like claw hands, and there's other gangs like we're the you know the aesthetic club or something. I don't know. It's all stupid. But the Nazis messed up and they killed this lady's son who's a soldier. And then she's out for revenge. It's like a grandma character killing all these Nazis. I'm like, this is the best goddamn film I've ever seen. I remember.
Is it worse than Sharknado?
It's better because I'm a big believer in schlock, where like it's the entire thing about The Room, where you're like, was Tommy Wiseau, was he serious about this? And according from a dinner conversation last night, he was originally serious about what he was filming, but then he saw the reactions from the audience, and he's like,
yeah, he said like a comedy.
Yeah, then he spun off as a comedy, where he's like, okay, well, I'll feed into this like purposely, and it still worked. But like, I love movies where they're like trying and they think they're brilliant and they're like, you know, oh, this is so fantastic, but in reality, it's like, oh my god, this is hilariously bad, but they're genuinely trying. Versus like Sharknado 3, where it's like, okay, at this point, you're just, you know, really trying to milk this.
And I'm not gonna see it, so you can go ahead and spoil.
Well, I was gonna say, I remember seeing, there was one week where I decided, you know what, all the Jaws movies are on HBO. Like, all the Jaws movies are on HBO. And I'm like, I gotta know where this goes. And I forget which one it was, but it was like one of the Jaws Gets Revenge movies.
Jaws the Revenge?
Is that the one where
they're like a psychic link?
Yeah, they're like it's all that's left is the mom or whatever. Yeah. And she's like, oh no, all the sharks are after me.
Yeah.
It was so stupid. And like the worst part was you've seen this movie.
I've seen parts of it.
So like, you know, we all cheer for that one like cop dude in the first 2 movies, and we're like, yeah, he got the shark. And then they're just like, yeah, and then a shark scared him and he had a heart attack and died.
Yeah.
Like that was literally how they wrote off his character. Yeah, he saw a shark fin and had a heart attack. It's like, what?
Do you have a question, by the way?
Yeah.
No, he stood up just to get closer.
Well, this question is completely random.
Okay, good.
So, do you think owning a skunk is a good idea?
Owning a skunk?
Yes, because I actually kind of want one.
I have skunks like all outside my house in Virginia because I guess they just are
attracted to you.
Yeah, exactly. No, I remember when I first saw them. Like, I pulled up in my car to go back to my apartment, and they're like in this little grassy field near my apartment. But I was kind of spooked out for a second because the lights on my headlights could only see the white stripes, and they look like floating snakes. I'm like, oh my god, there's like ghosts or something? I was scared for a few seconds. There's like 3 of them like floating around over the grass.
Well, I mean, I think if I saw a bunch of skunks, I think I'd still be scared.
Well, then I'm like, oh, skunks. Because you can tell when they're in the air because they start smelling bad, and it's like, be careful. Like, the residents are like, yeah, there's a skunk in the parking lot, be careful. Because there's also like cats that apparently like keep the skunks away because cats are cool, I guess. So, but no, I don't know. Why would you want a skunk?
Well, I can. Well, I mean, that's a good argument.
Well, I live in Indiana where it's actually legal to own one.
Here's the thing: is my dad's told me about how I think it was like one of his aunts or something had a skunk as a pet, and of course like they go through a process of making it so it's not gonna fart everywhere or whatever you call it, but
its glands.
Yeah, they do that, and then and he was like it was like just a black and white cat. Like I guess they're like total like sweetheart pets or something. That's what he said. He was like, yeah, I never would have guessed, but yeah. So I mean, if you really want one, go for it.
Yeah, and fun fact, because you know skunks are only native to North America, but they're legal to own in the UK, but it is illegal to remove the gland.
Go figure. What's your question, man?
Why would you want one if... Okay.
Well, when Saber mentioned The Room, I just remembered, I'm wondering if any of you saw Best Friends a couple weeks ago, the first part.
No, I haven't.
I have not either.
Yeah, it's like the new movie from Tommy Wiseau.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Greg Cicero actually wrote it based on a experience with Tommy like years ago.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out. See if it's any good.
Yeah, the first part was just released in theaters a couple weeks ago. It was like 2 days, and the next part's going to be released at the, I believe, either end of May or beginning of June.
Interesting. All right, I'll have to check that out. Old Tommy's still finding work.
Oh, thank goodness.
I like how when he was at the awards ceremony with James Franco, and I forget which one it was. Was it the Oscars? I forget. Basically,
Yeah, I think it was Golden Globes.
Golden
Globes.
Yeah, like Tommy Wiseau went on stage to like join James Franco, and like Tommy reaches for the mic, and James like, no, you're not talking.
No,
you're not.
I can't even do a Tommy Wiseau. Like,
we don't even know where he's from.
no one does.
Isn't it like a mystery?
He says he's from Louisiana.
He doesn't.
Don't they even like not have like a record of like him? Like, like he just popped up as
Like,
Tommy Wiseau.
If you see the Disaster Artist, like Seth Rogen plays like one of the guys working for him. He's like, let's see if this cashes, and then like because he goes to cash in his check from Tommy, and then the bank teller is like, oh yeah, this account is like a bottomless pit.
It's so weird. So like Tommy Wiseau, because I've heard that before, where he's like rich, and we're not really certain where he got his money. It's weird.
There was some guy, I guess, that like did like a bank robbery back in the day, and like
come on, get in the car, Mark.
Disappeared and fell off the radar. Like I guess they were never able to find like his plane or something. Like they're like, well, he
just changed his appearance.
Yeah,
or it's like the Count of Monte Cristo, where like Edmond Dantes, where like Tommy Wiseau finds like this buried like treasure in the ocean or whatever. Oh my God, we're gonna be rich.
I'm gonna make a movie.
What's up?
Hello.
So, who is the best alicorn?
Who's the best alicorn?
Yeah.
Flurry Heart. Flurry Heart is the best alicorn.
You're
Twilight.
a bad person. Starlight when it happens. It's gonna happen.
He has. It's just Sharpied on.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna be Starlight next. Just know it. Just know it.
For a second I was gonna say Twilight gets jealous, and then I'm like, wait, she is an alicorn.
The princess of manifestos. Thank you.
Who do you think's the best alicorn?
I don't know.
Okay.
How much time left? We got like
So speaking of the alicorns, I just saw this online. Who saw yesterday's episode?
we haven't seen it, so no spoilers.
Oh no.
Yeah.
There was it was almost too, like, you know, they normally have like alicorn mistakes in the background, but like this was a foreground pony and it had wings and a horn.
Interesting.
So look for it in the new, when you see the new episode. Yeah, there's a new alicorn.
Oh
Maybe that'll be your favorite.
We'll keep our eyes open for it.
Because it's a guy. It's a stallion.
Finally.
Oh, we have a stallion alicorn. A stallion alicorn.
I got a quick question to the AV team or whoever. Since we started late, are we okay to go over a few minutes? You down with that? We'll clean up our mess. What's that? It's okay. How far over can we go?
How about we just go 10 minutes over?
Yeah. Is 10 okay? Cool. All right. Then we've made our quota.
What's up?
So I see you're wearing a Zootopia shirt. I think a few months ago there was this huge fan-made Zootopia comic that went viral. On
Oh my God.
I'm thinking armies.
Yes, there was.
I want you to explain just what you all thought.
Okay, so that comic had actually been out for a while. I had seen it, and I was just like, huh, okay, this is weird. Because like I'm a huge proponent for Judy and Nick like ending up together. So I was like, I don't know, when I read it, because like I'll usually when I see like stuff like this, I'll look at it with Toodles, my fiance, and I'll be like, okay, I got a problem. And she's like, what's wrong now? What Zootopia art were you looking at? And I'm like, You don't
What's
understand
wrong now?
There's a problem in this comic. And I thought it was really like, I'm like, what the heck? My issue with it was how like out of character everything was. Like how weird. It was just so weird. For those that don't know, there was this comic that came out about Zootopia, and it was basically about like Judy finding out that she was like pregnant, and Nick's like, yes, this is the greatest thing ever. We didn't even know that we could, have kids. And then Judy's like, no, you don't understand. I don't want it. And then they just get in this huge, like, dumb argument about like, what? How could you be so evil? And it like turns into like oh, all of your sins will catch up. It was just so weird. And yeah, it was basically like an abortion comic thing. And what's weird is that the person who made it, like, they're like, wait, no, this isn't like what I stand for or whatever, because everyone's like, oh, this guy stands for this. He's like, no, I was just trying to make a story. Okay. It's weird because the art is so good in it.
Yeah, it's like really good.
And then the story, you have some comic people who art is their like, oh, so good. But then it comes to the dialogue of stuff, and it's like,
it's kind of weird.
Yeah. So people took it and started making their own stories.
Yeah, there's a bunch of edits.
And one of the most well-known edits was this one where Nick's like, I gotta go to Arby's. I'm thinking Arby's. It's so dumb, but it's beautiful. It's pretty funny.
And Judy's like, I don't want Arby's.
The whole Zootopia fandom's like, seriously, this is what had to go viral, this one? Like, okay. It'd be like the Bernie fandom having like a similar comic, and that's the one where everyone like outside of the fandom's like, oh, this is what they're making. It's like, no, God. Yeah, no, it was pretty funny.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm thinking Arby's.
Okay, so 2 mini questions.
Okay.
If you guys were all go to a shooting range, who do you think would be the better crack shot?
Gabe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gabe, for sure.
Right,
But of the three of us, who would be the better?
I don't know.
You've shot guns more recently than I have. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Yeah. Have you ever shot a gun?
No.
Okay, so I the last time I shot a gun was at like Boy Scout camp.
Even I shot a gun before killing it.
What kind of gun are we shooting?
I don't know, it doesn't matter.
A water gun?
I've got some super
Pistol?
soakers.
I guess pistol, keep it simple.
A duck hunt gun.
You'd probably have some.
I mean, I've shot a gun before at like a range. I'm a decent shot.
You'd probably beat me.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We could find out in the hallway.
I'm sure that Gabe would be more than happy to take us to a shooting range. Gabe is an amazing shot.
But your target just be Hitman Larson's face.
No. Gabe is an amazing shot. He's taken me shooting before, and he's Navy, or was Navy.
Oh, okay. Other thing was like, if each of you get a wish from the Dragon Balls, what would you wish for?
More.
Is that how Dragon Balls work? You get wishes?
Yeah.
Well, you only get. Are we talking about the Namekian ones or the Earth ones? The Namekian ones are 3 wishes, and the
Super
Earth ones are
Dragon
1,
Balls.
right?
Super Dragon.
No, let's go
Yeah.
super. Let's go super.
Super. Which one's that then?
It's like basically,
Any wish.
yeah, basically any wish doesn't matter. It's like you can wish for omnipotence, whatever.
And but you only get one wish.
Yeah, one wish for each of you.
Someone made an art piece where one of us was saying like, we're omnipotent. And I'm like,
Omnipotent.
I had to look up what it meant, so actually,
Omnipotent. Yeah.
omnipotent.
I feel like being omnipotent though, like I don't know, it's like too much responsibility.
No, I mean, like you can make. I mean, it doesn't have to be omnipotence. You can make any wish. Like, what do you think we'd probably make?
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like I'd be like, after I make my wish, be like, dang it, why did I wish for a Chick-fil-A sandwich? Ah.
No, how could you regret that? There's no regret, no
That's funny
regrets.
because like anytime like in Adventure Time, Jake, anytime he has a chance for a wish, like he always gets a sandwich.
I mean, hey, at least he's happy. What would I wish for?
God, I always, I don't know. Every wish you think about, nowadays, like, there's so many stories about like, oh, getting the wish you want, but it backfires, and now, so I'm always afraid
Like
to make
a monkey paw.
Yeah. What? What?
Like a monkey paw. With a monkey paw wish, you wish for it, but there's consequences.
Yeah, so something backfires where it's like, I want to, I don't know, this person to fall in love with me, and then they like get like obsessed over you and it backfires or something.
Yeah. Because like the first thing I think about is like, well, it'd be cool to be able to like retire.
Yeah.
And just literally do
Because like the first thing that comes to mind for me is just money.
Yeah.
I would see. I think it's like I feel like if I want to help out humanity, but I don't trust myself to like do it right. So I guess I'd be like, I want teleportation to be discovered. Like that way humans.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
That way humans can start going.
Teleportation that works.
Yeah, it works. No monkey paw ones of that. Where it's like, you know, where some abhorrent creature comes out of the other end.
Yeah.
Maybe something like that. I don't know. But I guess if I'm being selfish, yeah, money.
What are you saying?
I want like Scrooge McDuck levels of cash in the Golden Tower.
And it's tax-free.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
How about you? What would you wish for? That's lame. Where's the excitement? We're going out of business.
I'm not sure. I think Barack Obama's wish he made that on Twitter sounded nice, like being able to like understand every single language, so he could like maybe like communicate better.
Oh my God, talking to animals.
Yeah. The Liza Thornberry wish.
For a second, I thought you were going to say your wish was Barack Obama. I was like, I mean, okay.
I want to talk to dolphins. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can't talk to them. It'd be like talking to like a child.
It's like I wish I could talk to animals, and they're like, granted, and you talk to them, and they're like, nothing changed. And like, well, you can talk to animals, they just don't understand what you're saying.
Monkey paw.
Well, thank you for your question.
Right. Thank you.
Made me think. All right, we got about 5 minutes left.
So, kind of related to that one, and since you mentioned Count of Monte Cristo, if you had Monte Cristo levels of money, who would you get revenge on?
Who? That's a good one. The Count of Monte Cristo, do you all know about that?
Yeah, it's a great sandwich.
You stop that now.
Yeah, basically it's a story about this guy who got screwed over when he was young, went to jail, and then he was able to find a load of money and get revenge on those who screwed him over. It's really good. Huh. See, I'm not much of a vengeful person.
Mark Zuckerberg.
you hold a magnet up to his face.
Let's see who Zuckerberg really is.
Like Tom from MySpace.
I would have gotten away with it too.
I'm trying to think. I'm very much so, again, like a move on kind of person. Well, but yeah, no one screwed me over that hard. I've been like, I take 5th grade math teacher for like, so there was actually one person I could think of. So when I was in 5th grade, there was a substitute teacher one day who was the son of the principal. And this might be a shock to y'all, but I was a stutterer as a kid. I remember trying to answer a question, and the teacher said, "Can you speak clearly?" And I'm like, "What the, I'm a kid, why are you making fun of me like this?" I got completely like humiliated in front of my class, and it really devastated me.
That's pretty terrible.
So I would take all that money and just ruin his life. And at the end, I'm gonna make sure he's hanging off a cliff, and he's like, I'll make sure like he's like, I don't know, freezing cold or something like in like the Alps, and he's like shuddering while he's asking for help. I'm like, whoa, can you speak? Do you need help, buddy? And then I'll reveal myself and be like, it's the 5th grade, you're substituted for.
And he'll recognize you somehow.
Little boy.
There was this reminded me of a substitute teacher I had. Her name was Mrs. Young. She was the oldest thing I've ever seen walk through the school. And she was always yelling and angry. Like, everyone knew, like, oh, please let it not be Mrs. Young. Yep, she's a substitute, teacher.
Could have been that one or the one who wielded the TV with Magic School Bus.
And she talked like this, all right? Listen up, kids. Like without... And one day, I don't know where I got the gonads to ask her this, but I went up, I was like in 3rd grade or maybe 4th or 5th, I don't know, but I went up to her, it was recess time, and I walked up and I'm like, "Mrs. Young?" And she's like, "What?" I'm like, "Why are you always angry with us?" She's like, "I'm not angry." I'm like, "But you're always yelling." And she's like, "I'm not yelling." And we had like really weird like situations with this lady. Like at one point she told us that like, I don't know how this came up, but she's like, we're like, "Man, it smells really bad in here." And she's like, "Well, I can't smell." And someone farted right after that and we all laughed.
So the lady, are you telling me your story yet?
No, that was it.
I don't know why. So my mother is a very generous and charitable person, and I recall, because my parents went through a divorce, so I was kind of like hanging with my mom a lot growing up as a kid, like from like a young age. But basically, my little sister had a teacher named Miss E, And my mom was trying to help her out because she knew that she was in like a tough spot. And we went over to her house like to like do yard work and stuff. And for some reason, I remember like we were walking through her house and there was like a hot tub in the middle of her house. And I'm like, what? Why is there a hot tub in here? And like Missy had like her mother, who was like a very old senile lady, just kind of sitting in a chair, like decrepitly sitting there. And I'm like, why? This is so weird. I don't know why. I just remember that, and also there's a ton of cats all over the place, like a ton of cats. And that's always stuck with me. I was like, why is there a hot tub in the house? That's weird.
So to finish up this Q&A, I think the best revenge is the one where you don't like, it's not so spiteful as it is like showing up the person, going like, all right, well, here I am now in a better place, take that type of thing. So I guess to answer your question that you asked 15 minutes ago, it would be, whoever it would be to show them up and be like, haha, take that, person of doubt. But interesting question. I don't think we've ever gotten that one before.
I think the best revenge is not to put them down, but to lift yourself up.
Yeah. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you all for coming out to our podcast panel. Hope you had fun. Winning City 2018 is, we're in the last day. So yeah, thank you all for coming out to this year. We had a blast for sure. And still got the rest of Sunday to go. So you all have a great rest of your convention, and thanks again for coming out.